Hello everyone and welcome to another very nice game from the Speed Chess Championship 2022. It's Nihal Sarin versus Anish Giri, and it's the exact same format as we had in the match Magnus Carlsen versus Gukers. So first an hour and a half of 5+1, then an hour of 3+1, and then 30 minutes of bullet 1+1. Not real bullet, well, 1+0 is much better, but I guess it would be considered less serious if they didn't have this increment, as the games are of a much higher quality with this 1 second increment. To some of you, 1 second might not be a lot of time, but to grandmasters like Nihal and Anish, it's like an eternity. So let's dive straight into it. This is a game from the 5+1 section, really a nice attacking game, and it features a great finish to the game. So Nihal with the white pieces opens with d4. We have knight to f6 by Anish, c4, g6, knight to c3, and pawn to d5. The Gruenfeld defense is on the board. Knight to f3, we have bishop to g7, and now pawn to e3. We have castles and bishop to d2. Bishop to e2 is the main line, bishop to d2 is the fourth most popular continuation. So here Nihal already starting to mix it up. We have pawn to c5, d captures on c5, and now knight to a6, going after the c5 pawn. This way, c captures on d5, knight captures on c5, and bishop to c4. So nothing new here. This has been played many times. a6, we have pawn to a4, stopping b5, and now bishop to f5. We have castles and rook to c8. This is, it's not developing the rook with tempo as, okay, the bishop on c4 is unguarded, but it's blocked by the knight on c5. So it's like a tempo x-raying move, I thought this. I don't think this has a name in chess, but I thought it should have one. So it's not like a real tempo move, it's sort of an x-ray tempo move. I don't know, maybe. So queen to e2, defending the bishop. We have knight c to e4, offering some trades here, attacking the knight on c3 and the bishop. We have rook f to d1, and now knight to g4. I will just mention this position has happened before, and it even happened in a famous game between Samuel Reshevsky and Paul Benko from the 1969 US Championship. And those of you who have who've seen my Bobby Fischer saga know that it's a pretty famous championship. Even though we haven't covered it in the saga, we mentioned it because Bobby Fischer didn't play in it. But as Paul Benko won third place, I think it was Reshevsky won first place, Addison won second, and Paul Benko won third place. Benko declined his participation in the interzonal tournament of Palma de Mallorca, as this was a zonal tournament. You had to play it before the interzonal tournament, and then he gave his spot to Bobby Fischer, as Bobby Fischer could not play in the Palma de Mallorca interzonal unless he qualified via the United States Championship. But Paul Benko said that it would be more fitting if Bobby went. He actually had a chance of winning, and he gave him his spot. Bobby won the interzonal. He crushed everyone in the candidates tournament, or basically the candidates matches, and then he went on to defeat Boris Spassky. So for those of you who didn't know that, also a fun fact. Without Paul Benko and his actual selflessness, he just I don't know if it was true selflessness or maybe he had other reasons, but I mean, giving up a spot in the candidates like this, without it, Fischer would not be able to win the World Chess Championship. But okay, in that game, bishop to g4 was played by Benko, but here we have knight to g4, and it is now as of move 13 that we have a completely new game. So knight captures on e4, we have bishop captures on e4, and now knight to g5. Attacking the bishop here, we have bishop to f5 and pawn to e4. Nihal grabs at the full center here, and now Anish doesn't retreat with the bishop, rather he plays queen to c7, attacks the bishop on c4, and also it could be easy to blunder the game here. You might play something like bishop to d3 and then queen captures on h2. Yeah, you have to be careful not to do this. Queen to h1 would be checkmate, but of course Nihal spots this. He plays d6, he blocks the queen, and now just queen captures on c4. You could also play queen captures on d6, kind of trying to keep the tension, but then after blocking checkmate with the g3, you would be in a pretty bad situation, as well, your bishop here is still hanging, and there's really no good way to deal with this. If you move the bishop back, let's say bishop to d7, then bishop to f4 attacks the queen, and then bishop captures on f7, then the rook connects with the bishop, all sorts of stuff is happening here. It would be a terrible mistake. So instead, after d6, just queen captures on c4, trading pieces. We have queen captures on c4, rook captures, and now d captures on e7. A beautiful passed pawn here. Rook to e8, and now e captures on f5, winning back the piece. We have bishop to d4, going after the f2 pawn, and now bishop to c3. Offering a trade of bishops. Bishop captures on f2 with check, and king to f1. King to h1 looks a bit scary, but the engine says that it's actually perfectly fine. But okay, king to f1, this is 5 minutes blitz. We have bishop back to b6, and now we are threatening knight captures on h2. But bishop to b6 is a mistake, and f6, if Nihal spots this, it's really hard to play this with black. It's unimaginable that black could get out of this. You can never win those pawns, and the rook is never entering the game. If the bishop ever moves from the control of the d8 square, then rook to d8 is coming, so this is completely winning for white. But Nihal misses it. He plays f captures on g6. We have rook to f4 check. Now Anish has a much better position. King to e2, and now rook captures on e7. He eliminates this monster pawn. King to d3, getting out of check, and h captures on g6. We have rook to e1, offering a rook trade, and now rook to d7 with check. Again, now for Anish, knight to e3, cutting off the king from escaping with king to c2 would be, well, close to winning. It's winning by force, but not in a 5-minute blitz game. So instead, rook to d7 check was played, king to c2, and now knight to e3 with check, king b3, and now pawn to f6, getting rid of this knight, and now not moving the knight, but instead g3. And although it's a fine move, it attacks the rook, so you have to move the rook, and then white's gonna figure out what to do with the knight. The implications of g3 are much greater than you can possibly imagine in this moment. But keep in mind this g3 move for the rest of the game, if you can do that. So rook to f5, now allowing the fourth rank for the knight. We have knight to e4 and king to f7, adding more defense to that f6 pawn as it was attacked. Rook to e2, and now bishop to a7. We have rook a to e1, doubling up on the e-file, and now comes the move that's a bit of a problem here. Anish plays knight to g4. Knight to d5 or rook to d3 were basically the only moves that Anish can play in order to not lose the game. But after knight to g4, the game is now completely winning for Nihal, but you have to spot the correct idea. So feel free to pause the video and try to figure out what Anish missed here while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting this spectacular checkmate. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is knight to d6 with check. And yes, it's hard to imagine that this variation ends in checkmate, but if you had the g3 move in mind, which I said that you should, then no doubt you found checkmate in this position. And once again, congratulations on that. The problem is now, if you just move the king, then the rook hangs. Knight captures on f5, but you don't even have to do it right away. You can first give a check, force a trade of rooks, and then only then, even if king f8, knight captures on f5, defends the rook, so you're gonna first have to capture the knight, and then rook captures on b7, and you're up a pawn, you're up the exchange, you have a rook for a knight, completely winning for white. So instead, after knight to d6 check, Anish said, all right, I have to go for it. Rook captures on d6. Rook to e7 with check. It's now actually a mate in 5. King to g8, rook to e8 with check. King to g7, rook 1 to e7 with check. Only move king to h6, and now rook to h8 with check, forcing the king to g5. And now you see why I asked you to keep that g3 move in mind. It allows a very nice pawn to h4 check without allowing the black king to escape to f4. And it is now on move 38 that Anish Giri got checkmated. it. So what a spectacular king hunt, even without the queens on the board, finding a way to sacrifice more material for this beautiful checkmate. We can see the line one more time, just giving up the knight, winning the e7 square for the rook e7 check, rook e8 check, rook e7 check, rook to h8 check, and now h4 checkmate. Absolutely stunning. So yeah, a lot of you guys have requested this one, so hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed it immensely when I saw it, so I thought you guys might as well. And this one was not as clean as the match between Magnus and Gukesh that ended 23-7. This one was decided by 1 point. Out of the 29 games, I believe the result was 15-14 in Nihal's favor, and everything got decided in bullets. So it was an incredible match, and anyone could have won, but in the end, Nihal won, and he will be facing Dingliren in the semifinals of the Speed Chess Championship. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and that a little bit of trip down memory lane regarding Palbenko and him giving up his spot to Bobby Fischer to play in the Palma de Mallorca Interzonal. I would like to wish a very happy birthday to Umar Jamal, and I would like to thank Benjamin Hauberger, Ravishing Reptiles YouTube, Home, and Anubhav Katyal for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check two of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.